This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast.
The Hidden Killers Podcast.
With Tony Bruschi.
Alexandra Kazarian with us again, continuing our conversation from yesterday. Alexandra with Garagos and Garagos. Okay, I want to pick this up kind of where we left off. We were talking about the insanity defense, which technically does not exist in Idaho. You have found some loopholes where technically maybe it could, where you could find someone not guilty. Pick it up there. It's confusing. I get it because we've talked about it so many times, but I want to make sure the audience understands what you're talking about and where maybe this could actually go in the trial.
Right, because in California, you front load. Yes, I was involved in this. I was guilty of this. But the reason was because I had a mental defect. Okay. So there's two different aspects of it. And then if the jury agrees, you go to a treatment facility until the time that the people there decide you're no longer a threat to society, which may never happen, but it may. Here, I think actually what the legislature has done by getting rid of the not guilty by reason of insanity plea, I think they thought they were doing a good thing. But a lot of times these laws are not written by attorneys, and defense attorneys are not consulted. And so I think they did themselves a disservice, because if the jury finds that she did not have the capacity to form the intent to kill, it's a straight not guilty, and she walks away. There is no room for insanity in contemplating somebody. There's no room for rehabilitation. They eliminated it. And so when they eliminated, they thought they could eliminate the argument, but really they just eliminated the treatment.
That's true. With the amount of evidence that's being presented against Lori Vallow Daybell, and it seems to just be mountains of it every single day, that's very, very damning. Do you think that the prosecution may be concerned about your argument right there, that if we don't lay out this cornucopia of every possible thing, that, a jury could come back and look at it from that way? But if we give you all of this context, there's going to be somewhere in this where you're going to find that she made the rational decision to do what she did.
Yes. Any competent prosecutor has to look at it from the defense perspective and figure out where their weak points are. There's a very strong way of training in jury trial cases, right? Litigators that do jury trials, it's a very specific group of people that do jury trials, that are successful at jury trials, and that know what they're doing. And so Jerry Spence is one attorney who's like legendary, and he has this trial college where the main training that you do is role playing. If you're the defense attorney, you prepare your case like you're a prosecutor. If you're a prosecutor, you prepare your case like you're the defense, and you work backwards. So you look at your weaknesses, and that is the main weakness. That is basically the only weakness in the prosecution's case, is that there's just so much crazy that a defense attorney that knows what they're doing can exactly do that, glom onto it, make it very, very clear to the jury that this is in the middle of all this crazy, there's this one specific issue that we want you to focus on. And all of this crazy points to the fact that our specific issue is correct. And the prosecutor has to say no. And every single, because the jury instruction is going to be, if there is circumstantial evidence that points to guilt and also points to innocence, you have to pick the theory that it points to innocence, because that's reasonable doubt. If you can look at this set of facts, right? Because circumstantial evidence is not somebody saying, I saw her kill the child, or I saw her have a conversation with him about agreeing to kill the child. Circumstantial evidence is based on all of these facts, we're going to come to the conclusion that this happened. But if based on all of those facts, you can also come to the conclusion that it was an innocent outcome, then you have to, the jury's going to be told you have to pick the one that points to innocence. So what the prosecutor has to do is attack every single one of those circumstantial groups of facts to say it's not reasonable at all for you to believe that based on all these text messages here, Lori Vallow was too crazy to kill her children. And they have to argue why it's not reasonable. Anything is possible. A jury has to decide whether it's reasonable for her to have been unable to form that intent.
And what chance at all do you think they have with going something like that in this case? Do they have the right manpower? Do they have the right attorneys that could argue that effectively? And if they were, what do you think the odds are of that making an effect on a jury with a case like this?
I don't think that we'll be able to know that until closing arguments, because the best attorneys would save all of that for closing so that the prosecution doesn't have time to prepare those arguments against them. Okay. So it's really a matter of jury selection. It's a matter of closing argument. So again, if they've picked jurors who are religious, who understand that you can be, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but for lack of a better term, hypnotized by religion or, by these ideas of the afterlife. If you find somebody that's passionate about that, I think it's a very short walk to mix that with some organic mental health issues, and you've got somebody that just does not know what they're doing. I think it's a way, that's a very gentle way of telling the jury, a mother can be misled, can be, lied to, and can adopt these, like the passion that you have for your children can be, someone can route it down the wrong river, and that passion can be converted to something really evil. And she, as the rational person that she is today, shouldn't be punished for something that happened when she was not the same person she is. I think we won't know if the attorneys that she has have a grasp on that until closing.
This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast
with Tony Bruschi.
Alexander Kazarian of Garagos and Garagos, thank you so much for your insight. Couldn't be talking about half of these things without you, so thank you so much for that. Hey, if you like the podcast, be sure to press subscribe wherever you're downloading podcasts so you don't miss any breaking updates or discussions on the cases that we follow for you right here. I'm Tony Bruschi. Stay with us.